if you're playing High on Life 2 right now, you're probably stuck using an outdated Upscaler that's holding back your FPS basically and your visuals. But today we're fixing that. Hey guys, welcome back to GeekJ, where we make tech, tutorials and gaming simpler and better. So for this video, we're going to be optimizing High on Life 2 to not only look better, but also run smoother. By default, the game ships with some outdated binaries for DLSS, 3.10.3 to be exact, and through DLSS Swapper, we're not able to update the FSR that comes bundled in the game, but it does claim to be FSR4 or 3, and users have to use what is compatible with their hardware. I'm guessing it auto selects which one it's using. And basically that means RDNA 4 is only going to be able to use the FSR4 binary that is bundled into the game, because AMD still has locked that down to RDNA 4 only, sadly. Even more sad, we get to not experience XeSS because the Upscaler is not present by default, but we can fix all these issues in no time basically. So let's first run the game in its vanilla state and see how it looks and performs. And FYI, I'm running this on my 5800X 3D processor paired with an RX 6800 XT, the kind of forgotten but still pretty capable RDNA 2 series by AMD. But for more details on my current setup, refer to the description below. Anyway, let's load into our game. As you can see, this is a pretty intense scene, and I chose it on purpose because it has a lot of vegetation and stuff, a lot of different lighting. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, as you can see, if I go into my video settings, we're pretty much maxed out practically, and on a native resolution. So I'm running this on a 1080p monitor. It's high refresh rate, 165 Hertz. And as you can see, I am using the TAA upscaling. Everything is on very high, I think. I have removed, as always, motion blur and chromatic aberration, because if you're on a high refresh rate monitor, you really do not need motion blur, and chromatic aberration is just an abomination. I hate it. Other than that, everything else I think is on very high. What other options do we have? The upscaling technologies. I think the game will default to a temporal super resolution, and it doesn't default to a render scale of 100. So you have to be careful of that. I think it renders like at 75% on the render scale for some reason. As we've seen with other games recently, we are able to go higher on the render scale, so it's going to be at 200% render scale for some reason, so we can add super resolution to this, or super sampling. But yeah, the temporal super resolution does look better, a lot clearer and sharper, but we do get a hit in performance. So as you can see, the same scene, we are about 54 frames per second, right? And if we go back to TAA, we'll go back to video, and then we're gonna go back to temporal AA upscaling, resume, and as you can see, I'm gonna give it a little bit more time. It's about 57, but the image is degraded significantly, like it's a lot blurrier, and as we can see over there in the distance, the pixels are kind of flickering, and the image over there is unstable. So yeah, I would go with TSR if I'm being honest. Obviously we do get a hit, so 58, 57 on that particular scene, and then if we go back to TSR, we can see the 55 to 54 FPS on average, but all that weirdness is kind of gone. So the other option we have is FSR, and if we select FSR, you can see it says 4.0 or 3.0, and the problem is we do not have access to native AA over here, and it does have only the presets quality. Then we get balanced, performance, ultra performance, and even on quality, if we don't even add sharpness and stuff, if I go and resume the game, it does look sharp enough, but already we can see some weirdness under the eye of our weapon over here. And then as we move, you can see the floor becomes extremely noisy for some reason. And yeah, the reflections are noisy. And if I dare to move the camera like so, it's super unstable and noisy. So not a good showing for AMD in this title, and the vanilla like FSR that comes with it. I don't know exactly which version is that's coming built in the FSR3 version. I mean, it's probably 3.1.4 or 5 or 6 either. I don't think it's 3.0 because it would look a lot worse, believe it or not. But for some reason, in this exact same scene, we're getting worse performance than TAA and TSR. So yeah, if I go back to TSR, which arguably looks the best in this game, imagine that. I'm gonna resume, and as you can see, the weirdness is gone. Like if we basically take a look at the reflection, it looks fine. Let me check again. Video temporal super resolution 100%. And we're not using any kind of frame generation or latency reduction technologies. And as you can see, yeah, it's a lot cleaner, and that unstableness or noisiness is not adding into our picture over here. I wonder if we actually add some upscaling. So let's say 75%, I assume, is the quality preset. We do go up to 60 FPS again, and it does add a little bit of that noisiness, but it's a lot more stable than the FSR solution, the built-in FSR solution of this game. So yeah, this is basically what we're getting. And most of the time when I'm not recording with OBS, it is a consistent over 60 FPS experience. But sometimes when there's a lot of enemies and effects on screen, things can drop below 60, which is not ideal. So let me quit out of the game. But anyway, visually the game doesn't look bad, but TSR native looks better than TAA and less smeary, while the built-in FSR looks like a middle ground visually between the others, but tends to perform a little bit better in some specific situations. But either way, I wouldn't prefer it, because when there is camera movement, which is, you know, an FPS game, so there's gonna be camera movement all the time, it gets super noisy and smeary for some reason. So yeah, I wouldn't prefer it. I would probably play the game with TSR if I wasn't willing to tinker with it. Okay, so now let's see what we can do. So first up, we're going to use DLSS Swapper to update the built-in Upscaler binaries we have access to through it, because as I mentioned before, actually let me show you. I'm gonna run DLSS Swapper, then I'm gonna click on the game, and yeah, as you can see over here, we only have access to the DLSS Upscaler, even though the game reports in its own options that we do have FSR. So we're gonna tackle that in a bit, but first of all, I will update all the DLSS binaries, and as you can see, the main Upscaler is the 310.3. 310.3 for ray reconstruction, and frame generation is a little bit newer with 310.4. But anyway, we're gonna go with the latest one over here. We're gonna click on swap, and we're gonna do that for all the rest of these. Okay, and we're pretty much done with this because the game doesn't even have a native support for XeSS, so it doesn't have that option in the game, which is kind of sad. But anyway, we're gonna close out of this one. As you can see, we do have the latest version now. We're gonna exit out of DLSS Swapper. So yeah, now even if we use OptiScaler, we can just drop all the FSR files in the main installation location in High on Life 2. It will not see or know to look for these binaries in that location, so we need to find where the game has its own FSR upscaler stored. Let me open up Windows Explorer. So it's kind of a hidden path for some reason, and on the left side it's the hidden path. On the right side you can see the main installation folder where the real .exe of the actual game is located. So the real game is located as usual in High on Life 2, High on Life 2 without spaces, binaries, Win64, and then you can find the actual installation location. And on the left side, feel free to pause your screen and then zoom in or whatever to understand where that is. You can see the path over here, High on Life 2, engine, plugins, and then it's like in the runtime AMD FSR4 FSR sources, blah blah. Like, you keep going into the subfolders and then you will find this AMD _ fidelity effects _ upscaler _ dx12.dll. Wow, that was a mouthful. Okay, so you could say they are a bit deep in the file structure, but feel free to, yeah, again, pause the screen so you can also navigate to this location. And as always, I'd advise you to take a backup of the files we're going to be replacing by adding the .backup extension to them. This is like my method of taking backups, super easy. And in this case, we only need to do this for the upscaler _ dx12.dll file. So let me go ahead and do that. So right click on this and then rename. I'm gonna go to the end.backup. And basically that's it. So now we are ready to install OptiScaler, and it has been updated yesterday as of the filming of this video, and I had to reshoot some part of this, but hey, it's the name of the game and I want you guys to get the most up-to-date information if you follow my content. So there are like some huge news about OptiScaler, this new version, and we're gonna cover it briefly over here, but I'm gonna tell you, or I'm gonna hint like what we can do with this new update. And as always, I have prepared a little presentation. So yeah, be sure to give a like because it took some work, you know, to do that stuff for you guys. So give me a second to open up the presentation here. So yeah, as you can see, we are on OptiScaler 090 pre-10. This is the new version, and this is the final test build, as they say. This is their release candidate 1, and we are expected to see issues. And also they are saying on their Discord that we should use the !log command to see info when reporting issues on their Discord channel. So yeah, keep aware of that. Like, if you're gonna go into their Discord channel, first of all, do the !log, and it will give you some basic information on how to report the issues and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead with the presentation. I'm gonna go briefly over it for all the major updates over here. We're not gonna cover it in detail, but let's see, are you gonna get the hints? Vulkan plus FSR4 support. So AMD couldn't deliver, but these freaking guys were able to do it. So major API and Frame Gen additions, we have added Vulkan with DirectX 12 FSR4, and then they are covering other stuff for FSR 3.1 frame generation inputs. We have hook updates for Streamline, the NVIDIA stuff, and then for hugs, if you're using that. We have new filtering options, so they're enhancing image quality and customizability. So we have a process filter option, which is added, a MIP bias for clamping, which is now included, registry spoofing, and it will probably show DLSS frame generation on non-hugs GPUs. And we have a driver version parameter added to the INI. We also have some speed and output scaling, so they improved some scaling algorithms and speed, and it's a significant compilation speed boost, as they are mentioning on their changelog over at Discord. They have done a lot of code optimizations and specifically targeting execution bottlenecks, and the downscalers have been updated. So the Swapper by Cubic, Lanczos 2 and 3, and Kaiser 2 and 3 have been updated. So we're expecting to see far better image quality when we're downscaling, for example. For the important fixes, they are mentioning a lot of squashing of bugs for stability. So the Cyberpunk headless FSR frame generation has been improved, and they have fixed the interpolated frames reporting. It has been an issue for almost a year now, even when we were using OptiScaler and stuff, but these are really good news. Fix FSR frame generation input flicker for Grand Theft Auto 5, and it still requires the draw UI option to be enabled, but that's fine. They fixed the NVIDIA XeSS reflex latency issue and Anvil crashes. So this would happen, and people had reported in previous videos of mine, especially for Whirlwinds Meet, that the game would crash with some newer versions of OptiScaler. This was the issue, and they are saying that they most likely have fixed it. I don't know if it's 100% fixed, but they are pretty confident. And then they have the disabled release heaps, and that means they did it to prevent crashes on Upscaler feature release. And fake NV API, the latest version 1391 is included as fake NV API.dll. So yeah, check out the update. I would suggest you go over on their Discord, because that's the only reliable place you can find the latest and greatest of their builds. But if you go on their GitHub, you will find the pretty old 079 build, so I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. But anyway, yeah, that's what's up with OptiScaler. And that was the presentation showcase. And basically, I hope I gave you the rundown of what is new in this 090 pre-10 test build. Now, with all that basic info out the way, we are ready to install OptiScaler. Obviously, I'm going to have timestamps in the description below, so if you want, you can just skip directly to this part. So we copy over the basic files as always, but we will skip the FSR files this time, basically because they're not located in here, as you can see. And even if we do copy them in here, the game is not gonna look for them in this location. So anyway, I'm gonna just select everything, and then I'm going to deselect the ones I'm not gonna copy over. So I'm gonna grab all of these, and the setup_linux.sh are things we're not gonna use. So I'm just gonna drag and drop all of these in the main installation folder, which, as you can see, is High on Life 2, binaries, Win64. Okay, now before I run the installation, this is the FSR4 INT8 modded file, or compiled basically by a user, and you can basically Google this, and you can find the location it is hosted right now and download it. I'm not going to put any links in the description below for this, because they keep changing where those files are hosted. So just Google FSR4 INT8 download on Google, and pretty much the top 2 or 3 results are going to get you the correct file, so you can download it. So anyway, I'm going to right click on this and then copy it. And as you remember, we're gonna copy it over here in this other location that we talked about earlier, and I'm gonna just right click and paste. And now we can just run the setup_windows.bat, and we just follow the on-screen instructions. Let me move this over here. Now, if you have a previous version of OptiScaler installed, I would suggest you uninstall it first. It does produce a remove OptiScaler bat file after you install it once. And then even after the uninstallation, if you have some old files that the new installation detects, it will warn you and it will tell you to basically remove them, and you can say yes or no. I would always suggest you do the yes option. But anyway, we can choose a file name for OptiScaler, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go with the default because this game is a DirectX 12 game. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to select 1 for dxgi.dll and then press enter. Then it is asking us what kind of hardware are we using. I'm using AMD, so I'm going to go with option 1. But as always, just follow the instructions. So if you're on NVIDIA, you obviously have to press 2. I'm going to press 1 and then press enter. And then it is asking us if we want to use DLSS inputs. I'm going to say yes again by selecting 1 and then pressing enter. And it's going to check the Opti patcher and stuff like that. Support is detected. It is asking us if we want to download the Opti patcher. Let's say yes. And we're going to wait for just a few seconds over here, and then we're getting the prompt to press any key to continue, and the installation is basically done. Just remember to choose whatever corresponds to your actual hardware when you are installing OptiScaler. Okay, with all those installations done and the copies of files and everything, we can check out the results. So bottom left corner, you can see the OptiScaler pop-up. That means OptiScaler installed correctly. Okay, we're probably not seeing any difference because the default Upscaler of the game is going to be set to TSR, the one we left it at. So if we press the insert key on our keyboard, which usually brings up the OptiScaler menu over here, you can see it is instructing us to select FSR or DLSS or XeSS from the in-game menu. Let's first of all go on ahead and do that. We're gonna go into settings, video, and as you can see, temporal super resolution is selected, and now we can select NVIDIA DLSS. And you can see we have a lot of different options. Balance, performance. Do we get ultra performance? Yes, we do. And then we can go to quality. Okay, that's nice. And DLAA. So this is another big advantage. We can press resume. And now if we press the insert button on our keyboard, you will see that we have defaulted to XeSS. And the XeSS used is the latest version, so we don't have to worry about that. And we can basically see how the game looks with the XeSS Upscaler. DLAA, so that means it's running at the native resolution. It's pretty good, it's not bad, right? We don't get any weird shimmering, not too much anyway. In comparison, we do get some shimmering over there, like there are some unstable pixels right there in the distance, and then this part of the tree doesn't look that stable, but we don't get the glitches because of the smoke in front of the planet. But the performance is obviously kind of the same, so what we can do, basically test out any other Upscaler we can try. I would suggest we go directly into the FSR3.x, which means FSR4 in our case. As you can see over here, it is using FSR4.0.2, and we do not get that weirdness with the noise and unstable pixels when we're moving our mouse over here. But yeah, as you can see, we don't get any instability to any of the pixels when we're not moving. We don't get any weirdness in front of the planet. As you can see, the tree is swaying by the wind by itself, and we don't get the weirdness we get even with the latest XeSS. So this is the power of FSR4 INT8 version. So what else can we do over here? We can press escape, go back to settings, video, and we can go to quality mode, as you can see over here. So immediately we get a boosting performance of about 10 FPS, a bit more, I believe. So from 54, we went up to 64 in the same exact location. So that's 10 FPS on average we gained, and we don't see any loss in quality basically. And what we can do if we want is we can go even lower. So we could go to balanced, okay, resume. And as you can see, we're on 71 FPS, 72 FPS, so we gained another 8 FPS on top of that, and it doesn't look bad at all. It kind of looks the same to me. I kind of have to really look into the details or zoom in or something on some screenshots, but during gameplay, you're not gonna notice any difference. There's no weirdness when I'm moving around the camera. It's like super stable, as you can see even in the distance over there. We don't get any flickering or shimmering. The pixels are extremely stable. And as you can see, if we try to enable frame generation, we do not get the DLSS option over here, so that means it hasn't been ejected yet because we haven't really changed any of our settings in OptiScaler regarding frame generation. So let me disable this again. We're gonna go with resume, then I'm gonna press insert on my keyboard, and over here I'm going to select DLSS via streamline, and then I'm going to select either FSR-FG or XeFG, and we can also uncheck this use FSR input values. And what I really like to do is prepare everything before I finalize my settings, and then we're gonna have to restart our game one more time. So I'm gonna set the FPS limit over here. It says it's 157. That's the optimal one, and it's the calculator built in OptiScaler over here. If you want to see what all of these settings do, you can check my other video up here, I believe, where we analyze and explain every single setting of OptiScaler. And now what I will do is save INI, but as you can see, it says save INI and restart to apply the changes. So I'm going to do exactly that, save INI and then close, and I'm going to quit out of the game. Okay. Let's go into the settings and video. If we press insert, you can see over here that DLSS via streamline is enabled. So I want to check if we do have access to this. So NVIDIA multi-frame generation X2, and then we get auto. I would suggest you go with X2. Then we're gonna go back. I'm gonna press insert over here, and as you can see already, the game says restart the game to apply correct XeFG settings. What I'm gonna do is click on this active checkbox over here, so we enable it, and then I'm gonna click on save INI, close, and quit out of the game. Continue game. We don't need to touch anything else. Okay, and as you can see, we're already experiencing the results of frame generation over here, and the base frame is 71 and we're up to 144 to 142. And as you can see in the OptiScaler settings over here, we are using FSR 4.0.2. This is the latest version. If we're talking about INT8, there is no other newer version released, unfortunately, yet. We do have the frame generation active over here, and as you can see, it is correctly saying it is on. And basically, let's close out of this one. We're gonna go to the exact same spot over here we were before. As you can see, the base FPS is kind of the same. We are about 60 FPS on this specific location. If we go into the settings of the game, video, NVIDIA DLSS, quality, and then you can see we're using NVIDIA multi-frame generation ×2, and then NVIDIA Reflex Plus Boost is enabled. Everything else, as we've seen from the start of this video, is on the maximum settings, and this is how the game looks and feels. It looks and feels pretty good, and you can try XeSS, but obviously FSR4 will yield much better results on more aggressive upscaling, as you can see. And to demonstrate this to the extreme, I can just go in settings, video, and we're gonna go with ultra performance, just so you can see the power of FSR4. Obviously, it is kind of blurry. You see, when I move the camera, it does turn a little bit blurry. Okay, but look at this quality. Like, This is ultra performance. Do you know what that means? It means we're upscaling from 640 by 360 to 1080. Okay? And it looks like this. It doesn't look amazing, but if your PC cannot handle anything else but ultra performance, this is gonna be really, really nice to play on, okay? So anyway, we could try, let's say, performance, and there's gonna be an improvement because performance is basically 540p, upscale to 1080p, so it's not that aggressive, but it looks super, super good. And there's no instability, there's no noise, as you can see, there's no ghosting, there's no issues at all. It works perfectly fine. And look at the clarity of that tree while we're upscaling from 540p, okay? If you're an unbeliever, look at this. I'm hitting insert, okay, 540p to 1080p. Look at how that tree looks, the clarity of it. Obviously, it's not gonna be perfect, but look at how this looks. It looks crazy good for, you know, running at performance. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to quality, and this is a super playable experience. Super nice. And remember, this is everything maxed out, so we can get a nice baseline. We're at about 59, 60 FPS on this particular scene. And then we go to settings, video, and we're gonna go with high instead of very high in the same exact spot. And as you can see, we gained 7 FPS. So it's not that crazy, but yeah, the game feels amazing. I'm not even kidding. I don't feel any kind of input lag or whatever the case may be. This is a really good implementation of FSR in this game, and with the improvements they made, the OptiScaler team, I mean, to frame generation and obviously to everything else, this looks and feels really, really good. You can go with either FSR-FG or XeSS, whatever works best on your specific setup. So, you know, you don't have to do exactly what I did. You can select FSR-FG, but make sure you have selected the DLSS via Streamline input option for FSR on the OptiScaler settings. And yes, you need to remember to save your INI, restart your game, select the DLSS frame generation option, then activate it on OptiScaler, then save the INI again and restart the game again. If you don't do those 2 restarts, the frame generation is not going to work correctly. Yeah, I hope this is going to help you enjoy the game in the best way possible. Very smooth and looking amazing. If this helped you squeeze more frames out of your setup, smash that like button and subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a GeekJ video. If you want to take it further, consider joining the GeekJ squad for early access and exclusive perks, including shoutouts. So shout out to my architects, Paris STR and Kostas Dadi. You guys are legends. Or you can drop a super thanks if you're feeling generous. Drop your results in the comments below. I read every single one of them, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.